It's a stupid community fetish. That is the Kickstarter GameFound preview quote that you should be looking for. They sent it. I'm letting you know. It's coming up. It's on the horizon. What's hot? What's hitting the table? And what am I going to have thoughts on really soon? Very near future? Yeah, let's freaking go. 2 games up that we're going to be talking about are games that are going to be on the hotness, going to be on your radar. Because one of them, right here in my left hand, is going to be released soon at retail. The other, right here in my right hand, is going to be coming back to crowdfunding in the very near future with a reprint and an expansion. You can mark it on your calendars right now. You can call your shot like I am doing. These will be on your radar. These are going to be grass is greener games. You heard about them here. Just like when I talked about Deep Regrets in the crowdfunding campaign, and that's on the hotness of the time of me filming this, I said, this is one to watch. I talked about Moon Colony Bloodbath on my news roundup. I said, this is one to watch. So I have an actually freaking good pedigree of Nostradamus picks in the past of things that you need to be aware of. So what are these games though? I can't even read what you're showing me, Chris, in the box because this one's too small and this one's too blurry. Well, let's start up with this one first. Line of Fire Burnt Moon. It's hot because we're doing CSI Miami, right? This is Osprey's next upcoming. Now, the thing you need to know, and on the comparison I'm going to make right off the bat, that you're going to recognize is Radlands. Radlands. This is a lane battling deck builder, right? With basically mechanized units that you're sending out to attack each other. And if that doesn't sound freaking awesome, it should. And it's sleek, it's magnetic, and it comes with 2 little boxes right here in the middle that you just kind of grab that also then just slide out. And there you go. It's going to be on a lot of people's radars. This is taking the stylings of the Undaunted series and smashing it with Radlands, if that sounds appealing to you. Does it? It freaking should. And the trick with a game like this, and that was my big criticism of Undaunted as a whole, is that as good and as solid as it is, it's highly AP prone. It's also just potentially a little overstaying its welcome. Now, for me personally, having gotten rid of the Undaunted, which is right back sitting right here, if you can see that, the Battle of Britain, but I also haven't been super eager to play it comparatively because of those issues. Again, not a bad game, but it's an absolutely fantastic game if you have the time, wherewithal, space, player count, and meta, because again, even though it is deceptively, straightforward in the unique mechanics, the degree of learning curve is massive. And that's where I think Line of Fire Burnt Moon here is going to be an outstanding, smashing success. And I give kudos for not making just an absolutely, utterly, overly massive box. Now, it probably could be also scaled, truthfully, if they didn't make it a little bit fancier on the inside, down by a third. So, you know what, take that for what it is. But it's very Radlands adjacent, if you will. So if it was Radland size, I mean, like I said, a third without even actually doing this beforehand, it would be that good. And I think it's going to fit. If you like this style of things in the first place, wowzer, review in the future. And again, like I'm talking to you about games that I really am interested in, right? This is not just Chris Schilling, whatever games, right, that get sent to him. This is the creme de la creme of what I get sent to me, hopefully, right? I'm always going to forget a few. So I'm sorry if you're a publisher and you've sent me one, but I've just completely, passed over in terms of this because it's hard sometimes keeping track of things. I'm not that good. I'm not that smart. I'm not that intelligent overall. But the other one that we, kind of can, but can't see, this is called Reforest, Plants of the Pacific Northwest Coast. Now, this is basically, I've heard it described, if you like those comparisons, again, if they help you imagine, if you are an auditory learner, if you will, it's a Wingspan in this sort of setting. A complete, slightly more complex Wingspan in a box this size. Ooh, right? Is that, tickling your fancy? They're coming back with the Old Growth expansion sometime in the near future. I don't think there's a date set. It's finally in Board Game Geek as well, if you want to look this one up. And it's just, right? And the great thing when you're trying to make this one sprout is, again, the simplistic, overarching view of it, which leads to the complexity of the dynamics in the actual decision making when you're doing it, right? Because there's nothing worse in a game, for me personally speaking, where the rule book is this thick and then the decision making and the errata makes it just convoluted. And so all you're doing with this is drawing 2 cards from the deck or from your nursery of face-up plants. And then you just play a plant, add it to your tableau in one of the elevations of rows, and you pay it by discarding other plants from your hand as nutrients. So again, you've heard those mechanics elsewhere. You've utilized them in other games. Space is limited though, so taller plants can be grown over other species at a cost. Rinse and repeat. Each round when the plant deck's emptied, animal comes, combolicious scoring ensues. So it's got like a Wingspan, almost Marvel Champions with the discarding of the resources to play them in the first place, along with an Earth tableau feel. Now, if I told you again, all of that fits in a box this size, are you interested? Yeah, right? That sounds pretty freaking fantastic. So we'll see if it holds up to the hype. Then we have to talk about a couple acquisitions personally speaking. I bought as well as I traded for. Right? You know that it's going to get spicy then. I participated in a trade recently and I ended up with a copy, dum-da-dum-ba-dum, of 2024's latest hits, if you will, right? That's where we're going with this. And this was the trade, Sky Team. Hidden inside here is Turbulence. So I finally have myself a copy, right? I've been talking about this, I've been expounding its virtues, and hopefully, again, getting a copy at some point. But as I say a ton on this channel, trade for schnikes. Trade for Scooby-Doo. Don't always just buy. I mean, again, it's not that this was super expensive. I mean, it was like $35, $37 total, plus or minus shipping, depending on where you get it from, right? So it's not the cost of things. It's that I got stuff out of my collection and swapsies with this in the first place. And that's what I'm about on this channel. Not just go out and buy the hype and the hotness. Find stuff that's right for you, right? I could have had this a hell of a lot sooner. I should have had this a hell of a lot sooner. And it would have been just for keeping up the Joneses. It would have been just so I could say, hey guys, how does that new expansion sound? Hey guys, let me get out first on the block and let me be the cool kid so that I get a few more clicks than other people. Nope. Guess what? I saw this. I said, I think I'm going to love this. I'm going to try and trade for it. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to try and trade for it. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to see if it stands the test of time. And, well, it has checked all those boxes. So now I have a copy and now I can be cool like you guys. So I'm really excited because I think my wife is really going to love this thing. And I'm going to argue that maybe my 11-year-old can probably get into this with me as well because we're doing this. Although I've said this once or twice recently as well. I think we're a card game family. We played a couple games of the game. We played a couple games of High Society. We played a couple games of Flip 7 just today. So I think we're turning into that style of family, but I'm okay with either way. The only problem with this is then, we get into this weird dynamic of who's home sometimes. And if we're all home, then it's kind of hard for me to just play a 2-player game like this or Onitama with one kid and not the other. So, and then meanwhile, the 4-year-old's like, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. So that's always going on. Then, you know what? I was going to do the other one in order, but let's just stick with the 2024s. I finally, putting the baggie aside there for a second, got me a copy of Bomb Busters. And I will be talking this in a formal review. Spoilers, though, since you're watching this one, does it live up to the hype? You can tell the excitement on my face makes it very clear where I'm going with this. There are some bait and switches. There are some, I'm going to do a mid-video turnaround situations that come up. But this is no, folks, this is living up to the hype. This is going to be one of my most played games, non-card game of 2025. And I can tell you right now, for sure, this would have been on my top 10 of 2024. I might just say screw it and put it on my top 10 of 2025. I might have to do 2 lists this year at the end of 2025 talking about the 2025 releases versus the non-2025 releases, because I always get skewed in the comment section and other parts of the, you know, board game hobby scene if you put games that aren't technically that year's releases in your top 10s. I know, it happens. It's a stupid community fetish sort of thing, an unwritten rule that stupidly too many people follow. But it's that, right? That's also why you don't see expansions on lists, right? But it's fantastic. You know, it was really easy for my kids to learn because we had been playing Trio or Nana. We have the Japanese version that I've talked about several times. And so basically I just said, hey guys, remember Trio? It's kind of a cooperative version of that with a twist or two here. And they're like, huh? Because at first, when we talked about it, they weren't really interested. And then when I relate it to one that they already loved, they said, oh, well, Dad, we need to play that. Yeah, right. And it's one of those games where you can't just play once. It's very similar with the Crew meets Trio, if you will, only not at all mechanistically, but overarchingly like the Crew, where you're going through the missions. And it's a simple concept. If you're not familiar with Trio and you're not familiar with Bomb Busters, essentially it's you just draw a bunch of tiles that are arranged from anywhere between 1 and 12, and you get to mark one of them. And if you basically miss, you slowly tick down the bomb timer until it blows up. But you get to selectively place this little info tile to tell people where things are at. And so you're using selective deductive reasoning to try and figure out where matching tiles of the numbers that you have are, because you're just pointing randomly at people's wire tiles and saying, hey, is this number? And they go yes or no. And the nice thing is, though, if you miss, you get to know what that one is. You get to mark it so that future reference, not even just for knowing what that one is, but knowing where it is on the smorgasbord of the lineup, because you line them up from low to small, but you're going to be having hidden yellow wires and red wires thrown in there with special abilities to help mitigate. And it's absolutely, utterly fantastic, right? I didn't think I'd be saying this, but between this and Eternal Decks, like now all of a sudden, I think we're going to have a little bit of a competition. Throw in Sky Team on there. The only limitation with Sky Team and why it's probably not going to be as high up there is because it's, like I said, only 2 players compared to 4 players. And family triumphs over all. And this is also going to be a fantastic play with anybody game as well, which Eternal Decks probably isn't, although it could be. It's a little bit more of a curve. So advantage right now, ooh, it's gonna be tricky. And I said Eternal Decks was going to be my best one of 2025. We have a fight on our hands, and that makes me excited already, because we are only near the end of April at the time of me filming this in terms of gameage, and you know there's going to be other stuff like Bomb Busters, because that's the other point we're going to end with on Bomb Busters, is because going into Essen last year, nobody was like, hey guys, I think this is going to be one of the best cooperative games that's come out in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, right? And I think it's going to have a meteoric rise. I think it's going to be the best game, potentially the highest rising game post Essen 6 months later. Said no one. I threw it on my games to watch list, but apart from, like, I think Jeremy Howard, yeah, shout out to you. You called it. Give him some cred. No one else was hyping this thing. And now, because I looked back at these Gen Con and these Essen geek lists that track afterwards, highest rising game post Essen the first 4 to 6 months afterwards of any game, not just this weight, not just whatever, any game, including all the Euros and the worker placements that are the piece de resistance, the most important things, the most common and the most hyped that come out of that convention in the first place. So that is saying something right there. Now, something else that was sent to me recently. Upcoming crowdfunding campaign. Sniper Elite is coming back to us. The one versus all. Sniper versus bad guy soldiers. And your boy has a soft spot for the one versus alls. So when they said, oh, you're interested in covering this, I said, yeah! I never got to try it the first time around. Everyone's acclaiming it and giving it seals of awesome gameplay-ishness all over the place. So I said, okay, let's dabble. So now we're getting Operation Kraken. And I believe this is coming actually with like a twofold expansion situation. And we're going to see what else this has to offer. So I'm going to be cracking this very shortly after filming this onto the tabletop. And we're going to kind of see what this entails and how good it really is, right? Because one versus alls are very, very tricky. Then we have a love-hate relationship in that regard. And what I mean by that is, as the person who owns the games, as the person who learns the games, as the person who teaches the games, I am variably and inevitably always the one. And in some games that do this, it's more fun to be the one, so it's really, you know, a benefit. And in other games, you're sitting there, you know, rubbing your eyes, rubbing your temples, going, oh my gosh, this is such a slog. I'm having to do so much overhead in teaching and just explanation that it becomes unfun for the one rather than the fun that you should be having as the all, because they're just slogging away at you in the balance, because it's often easier to learn, play, and encompass and just understand the all and the nuance and the specific overarching complexity of the one as the person who is, you know, basically the underdog from get-go. That is a challenging dynamic, and I don't want it to be stress inducing. I want it to be stress relieving on my game and tabletop situation. So I'm really hoping that this can be good. No. Let me rephrase that. We're going to keep that part in there because I think that's important. I really hope that this sets a new bar of excellence in this mechanic, because that's what we're looking for nowadays, right? Not just it's an 8, not just it's a whatever score you want to give it, but it's a wow, this is better than its competitors. Wow, you should get this over the other ones. That is the Kickstarter game found preview quote that you should be looking for, not just a generic description of the game mechanics with random adjectives that don't actually tell you how much a person liked it, but tells you more that they got paid to give something out there rather than to suit it to your needs. Side tangent. I get rambling all over the place, right? Soapboxes here and there. I just trip over them sometimes in this room. I can't even fit in this table the other game that I just got in the mail, and it's freaking Apex Legends from Glass Cannon Unplugged. This is one of the biggest boxes I have ever seen. It is oblong long, and it's heavy, like 30 pounds of game. Haven't seen anything this big since Primal. And this is massive. I mean, this is bigger than Aeon Trespass Odyssey Cycles 4 and 5. I have heard some things. I've looked at some comments. I have not tabled mine because I literally got it in the mail like 2 days before me filming this. It is massive, it's heavy, and there are rules concerns right now. There is setup teardown. Similar to when I covered Dying Light, there are some concerns about this awesome looking 3D terrain that's there that people are going, I have to set this up and tear this down every single freaking time I want to play this. And that was my biggest concern with Dying Light when I covered the preview copy from Glass Cannon Unplugged previously, is I said, who dog, if I have to do this? And they modified things, I think, from Apex to Dying Light to give you more of the box setup as opposed to the, you know, fold, you know, bend and make aspect. So we're going to see how it translates to Apex Legends, because it reminds me very similarly, and stay with me on this one, the malaligned, the underrated, underappreciated, which still is getting rave reviews despite the review bombing in the first place, of Six Siege. And Six Siege, by all accounts, is one of the best tactical skirmish games out there, but it has the mythic stink still all over it, so people, rightly and wrongly so, aren't giving it, you know, the time of day. But from the people that are playing it and trying to separate it out, right, like oil and water, can't be done that easily. But the people who are trying to are still saying, wow, this is doing something special. Can Apex Legends duplicate that? And that's the other situation, is people are saying the rules curve is massive, massive. And that's the big challenge, like I was saying earlier in the video. I want less rules, more tactical decisions, less errata, more decisions on the board. And right now, from the comments, and this is tricky, right? Because I think on an individual game-by-game basis, we all have varying degrees of what and how our brain works with this. And that's tricky then to extrapolate from other people's conversations or comments, right? Plenty of people have said Aeon Trespass Odyssey is way too hard to learn. I did not have trouble with that. I had more trouble with Voidfall and with Luthier than I did with Aeon Trespass Odyssey. And that's just sometimes I feel like how we're wired. because I can internalize certain things much better, and you can probably do other things much better as well. And so which of this is it going to be for me with Apex? It definitely mechanically is more like one than the other, but rules-wise, how does that actually do when rubber meets the road? I really want to screw up idioms, because I saw this Reddit thread the other day that was like, what's a common phrase that you purposely screw up? And people were having all of these clever, like, turn of phrases that are like the ones that you've heard, you know, like the famous one from, what, The Office? Oh, now how the turntables, right? As opposed to the actual way of saying it. And so I just want to kind of start throwing those into my video to see how many people get mad at me for doing that. Segue there. We'll get into screwing things up later, but that's what I'm known for. This box right here. Yeah, I'm doing it, Devin. So my friend Devin, he's doing his print and play. It's coming back. It's Montoons. So he sent me the physical copy. Montoons. It's like deluxe print and play, but this is my type of game, right? And it's special abilities. It's grid-based hexes. I actually love these folders, by the way. They remind me of like menus. They're like the menu things, but they're different terrain maps. And so I have a box sitting here, and this is going live in May. And so this is my vibe. He knows it. We've chatted, and I'm going to give it a shot, and we're going to see where this one goes. And the unique thing about this one, I know, like not kidding, folks. Look at all these menus I got. We are going to be eating good off the menus. But where I'm going with this one is it's competitive print and play, roll and write, asymmetric abilities, sort of, you know, kaiju vibe with your asymmetric monsters, King of Tokyo style, only battling a hex-based roll and write situation. And the thing I love about this, and the thing that I will really shout from the rooftops, is that I love this, but the problem I have is I'm lazy, right? That's my biggest problem with print and plays. There is tons of awesome fan content and publisher content out there. I love Postmark Games, for example. They're a company that I have a sweet spot for. I backed Voyages, I backed Waypoints, I backed Aquamarine. I probably should have backed Koala Rescue Club. They are just one of those companies that I looked at and I said, this is a great concept, right? Voyages was Guilds of Merchant Explorers before Guilds of Merchant Explorers. Aquamarine is a dive down Endeavor deep sea roll and write, if you will. And the other amazing thing about this is that there is tons of fan content. Like, people have put out multiple maps on their Discord that is just approved by Postmark. That is lovely. And for the pound of the, we're going to leave that in there, for the price of like £5 it was, you print it off, you laminate the hell out of a couple copies, and you call it good. And that's what this strikes me as. Only now it gives me the King of Tokyo asymmetric skirmish battler that I love. I love King of Tokyo. I love a god tier asymmetric situation, and now I've got it in a print and play that I can laminate and put on the table, and easier accessibility from any of those standpoints for my wife or me and the kids to play. Not even like a dice throne, but a dice throne missions style, easy access. Yeah, right? I just got to get over my barrier or my own personal wall of being able to print that off and do that. And he was nice enough to send me this in the first place. So, I mean, this is my thing. And so we'll have a video out on most of this stuff individually or together at some point as well, because I do like doing those combination videos. So you get 2 or 3 games for the price of one video all rolled into one for the cheap price of free, right? So that is there as well. Then 2 more games that have been recently acquired, sent to me. Arcus sent me the latest Shem Phillips, and this is Storm Raiders. Pick up and deliver asymmetric factions, only 12 actions in a game. Interesting, right? Get a character, get 3 vehicles, mix of special abilities. Okay. Not usually a big fan of pick up and deliver, but this one I'm giving a special look-see because I think it's doing enough different in those manners of those words that I just used to say, okay, is this going to fit for me? It's going to be a short Euro optimization puzzle, similar to something, say, like a White Castle from a couple years ago, where are you going to feel like that's enough? Are you going to feel like that is not enough? And how do you balance that of, am I just lucky? Am I just better? Or what is the end game going to be difference-wise to really make it say the best person wins? And I don't know yet. I'm really intrigued by seeing what this can do long term. Then we have Diatoms here, 25th Century Games. Sort of in the lines of the Calico Cascadia pattern matching spatial manipulation mosaic builder, if you will. I remember when this came to crowdfunding, I was really intrigued by it then. I looked at it as a dark horse, and early reviews are actually really good. Now, there's only like 100 at the time of me filming this on Board Game Geek, but if you like this sort of thing, it's a little bit of a step up in your Calico vibe. Matching your colors, matching your shapes, matching your variety, and your symmetry along the central lines. Unique asymmetric judge cards give you scoring criteria to change it up as you go, and it has something for all you solo junkies as well. I really don't know what to make with some of these games that fall under this genre, if you will. There's several of these games that we have seen over the last couple years that, you know, it's a big dichotomy almost, it feels like, right? You've got your Calicos and your Cascadias on one side of things. Things along the lines of Vivid Memories as well that just haven't hit the mark. Until you get this sort of pattern matching spatial manipulation puzzle, it's kind of hard for me to tell how much I'm going to like it, right? The mechanistic approach overall, what I think up here, very solid. I'm looking at the upcoming one as well, that's Shallow Sea, right? I just don't know sometimes how puzzly versus fun these games are going to be, but this one has me really intrigued. So there you go. That is what I've gotten recently, as well as, well, what's going to be coming up soon and specific thoughts on them. But I mean, this is an absolutely fantastic set of games. I am really excited about this, and I hope it shows, because this is not just me saying, okay, they sent it to me, so I'm going to be happy and talking about it, but this is, right? And there's some element of that, you know, I hope you realize that I just can't fake the excitement for. Like, these games are just a hell of a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to them, and I hope that's what you're getting out of these videos. I hope that's what you're getting out of this hobby, because that's why we do it. That's why I started this in the first place, so I could ramble endlessly on the internet. Stay classy. Peace out. Have a great day. Subscribe me, Patreon me, YouTube channel membership me. Yeah, you know it. Hit me up. Comment down below. Which one are you most excited to hear more about? And enough of you comment, I'll just do it in that order. So there you go. See you around.